You ready? I'm ready. We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. Clerk will read the roll.
Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, will you please stand as we are led in prayer by Pastor Raynell Lawson. Immediately following our prayer, we're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Kamer. Clerk will read the minutes from our previously held meeting.
Minutes from May 20th, 2019. Council convened a regular session at 7 p.m. with President Somerville in the chair. All members were present. Minutes of the previous regular meeting were approved. Vote 12-0. Neal abstained. Reading of petitions and communications. Passage of the consent agenda. Report of standing and special committees, passage and referral of new ordinances and resolution, representation from various departments and divisions, public speaking period, no further business on a motion by Fusco. Council adjourned at 7:47 p.m. to reconvene in regular session on June 3rd, 2019, or special call.
Any corrections or additions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it and one abstention. Letters, petitions, and communications.
Correspondence from Councilman Hoke informing President Somerville that he is stepping down from the Board of Control and NEFCO effective May 20th, 2019.
File.
Correspondence from Councilman Neal referencing two articles regarding the change to the primary election.
File.
Report of the Assessment Equalization Board regarding State Route 18 and 261 resurfacing per resolution number 89, 2019.
File.
Notice of stock of a D2, D2X, D3, D3A liquor permit to Don Jackson, Inc., doing business as the Park Place Club at 1505 and 1507 Astor Avenue.
Special attention, Councilman Kamer.
Notice for transfer of C1, C2 liquor permit to A to Z Enterprises, LLC, doing business as A to Z Express, 1432 Maslin Road.
Special attention, Councilman Hoke.
Correspondence from Planning Director Jason Segedy regarding the 2019 Consolidated Action Plan for Community Development Block Grant Home and Emergency Solutions Grant Program.
File. You have before you the consent agenda.
Motion approved.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
On tonight, we do have one public hearing. I'm going to ask if there's anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak on our public hearing, if you could stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by our law department. If there's anyone here in the audience that wants to speak in regards to the ordinance concerning the Community Development Block Grant. And Mr. Hargrove, we're just going to have you stand right where you are so you can be sworn in by the law department, okay?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Not yet.
Okay. Legal notice. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, June 3rd, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in Akron City Council Chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance approving the 2019 Consolidated Action Plan.
Mrs. Tomic?
Thank you, Madam President, council members. The City of Akron is set to receive approximately $8.5 million of Community Development Block Grant funds, Home Investment Partnership funds, and Emergency Solutions Grant Program funds. Of these, $6 million will be in Community Development Block Grant funds, 1.3 in home, and $515,000 in the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. Our consolidated plan is prioritizing the goals of the programs, which are to assist primarily low and moderate income persons, to improve existing housing conditions, to develop additional affordable housing units, and to expand economic development and aid in the homelessness. Some initiatives of the plan include, but are not limited to, continuing new housing construction, continuing the Akron Housing Program, supporting community development housing organizations, supporting the minor home repair program, supporting the community services program, in addition to Beyond the Table grant program, and our initiatives regarding the Great Streets program. The consolidated strategy includes a narrative describing the housing needs of low-income families, homeless families, and others with special needs. This is a one-year budget going from January 1 of 2019 through December 31st of 2019. The application is due to the Department of Housing and Urban Development on June 14th. We request passage by June 10th. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anyone here in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance, if there's anyone here that would like to speak in favor, we're going to ask that you can approach the podium, and if you could just please give us your name and your address.
Good evening, Council. My name is Terrence Hargrove.
Turn that microphone on, sir. Hit that button. There you go.
I live at 1008 Laurel Avenue, Akron, Ohio, and I'm very interested in the Community Development Block Grant. I live in Ward 3. I've been applying and asking to application for the Community Block Grant in Ward 3, and we haven't gotten anything. It's like I'm on deaf ears in this council. The council members, city officials, I'm asking you, why is it that Ward 3 can't receive Community Development Block Grant to uplift ourselves? The criteria, we fit it, low income, that's been redlined and discriminated against, that's going to uplift our community, but this council won't do anything to include us. I'm asking for inclusion in all these programs. You give the bounce guy a $6 million building, he doesn't have to pay back, but Ward 3, you won't give us $50 when it comes to economic development. I mean, the GAR report states that economic development should be included with our communities. So I'm in favor of it, but I wish you would bring some in Ward 3. And if you don't believe in the GAR report, it's senseless for me to be standing here every time I stand if you don't believe in the GAR report. If any of you read the GAR report, it says the Black African American community has been excluded. So are you going to tell me tonight that we are going to be included with the Community Development Block Grant funding? I would like to know, and I'll see you again because I'm going to speak again in reference to, but would you include us? Ward 3, 40-some years of non-appliance from the city under all the federal guidelines, any guideline there is that's supposed to uplift the communities, we have not received anything in 40 years. And I'm asking this body from the mayor's office to the economic development department, from the planning department, to include the black community. Because you haven't. So in this budget, and then also have this new loan target small business, would that include Ward 3? Because everything else has failed us. So I'm asking, are you going to include Ward 3 and the black community? Because if not, we're just going in circles in 40 years and you say no to us. But for 40 years, we vote for y'all. This is all Democrat. Most blacks vote Democrat. But you don't include us. Our vote means something to you, but everything else don't mean anything to you. So you need to step up and do what is right for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in regards to this particular ordinance? Anyone else that's in favor of this particular ordinance? Is there anyone here that is against this particular ordinance? Anyone that is here that is against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco.
Well, thank you, President Somerville. I'd like to pull the committee to refer to this item. Mobian. Kamer. Neal. Swirsky.
Aye.
Will the committees refer?
All right, thank you. Councilman Fusco, what's your pleasure on the rest of the agenda?
Time on the balance.
Time will be granted. Rules, Councilman Keith.
Committee would like time, Madam President.
Time will be granted. Public Service, Councilman Keith.
The committee would like time, and 3 of those will come before the Assessment Equalization Board, the last 3.
Okay, thank you. Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal.
Committee's request is time.
Time will be granted. We'll now move into our new legislation.
Okay. Okay. Item number 1, offered by Mayor Horgan, President Somerville, and Councilman Fusco. Resolution amending ordinance number 93, 2019 to replace the neighborhood partnership program with Beyond the Table Grant Award Program and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Committee requests this item be referred to regular agenda.
this item will be referred.
Item number 2, offered by Mayor Horgan, President Somerville, and Councilman Fusco. Ordinance authorizing the Director of the Department of Neighborhood Assistance or his designee to enter into contracts with nonprofit neighborhood-based organizations for the provision of services and/or projects, including, among other things, neighborhood events, community gardens, beautification projects, after-school programs, and mentoring programs, authorizing payment therefore, reallocating funding, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
Committee requests this item be referred to the regular agenda.
this item will be referred.
Okay. Item number 3 was a public hearing. Item number 4, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct a parking area at 43 Pruitt Boulevard and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
Refer.
this item will be referred.
Item number 5, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish a child daycare business center at 1335 Waterloo Road and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
Refer.
this item will be referred.
Item number 6, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish a daycare center business at 480 Lovers Lane and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
Refer.
this item will be referred.
Okay. Item number 7, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish a child daycare center business at 474 Ardella Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco,
Refer.
this item will be referred.
Item number 8, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish a U-Haul sales at 199 Maslin Road and declare an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Refer.
This item will be referred.
Item number 9, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct a monument sign at 1481 East Market Street and declare an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Refer.
This item will be referred.
Item number 10, offered by Fusco and Kamer, ordinance approving the historic designation of the Astor Avenue Business District as a historic district and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Refer.
This item will be referred.
Item number 11, offered by Fusco, ordinance approving the sale of vacant city-owned land pursuant to the city's Allot for a Little program in order to facilitate the productive reuse of the property and in furtherance of Mayor Horrigan's objectives of activating underutilized spaces for the benefit of the community and reducing the cost of the city and the taxpayers in maintaining vacant lots, determining said property is not needed for public use, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 12, offered by Fusco, ordinance approving the donation of certain city-owned land to the state of Ohio to facilitate the completion of the State Route 8 Bridge Project, determining said property is not needed for public use, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Refer.
This item will be referred.
Item number 13, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the purchase of 429 Wellington Avenue for the CSO Rack 1011 Storage Basin Project and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 14, offered by Fusco, ordinance accepting various right-of-way documents for certain properties to facilitate the completion of the Frederick Burnodin Boulevard Roadway Improvement Project and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 15, offered by Keith, resolution declaring it necessary to improve certain streets in the city between certain termini by providing street cleaning services and street lighting and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Keith.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee's report is favorable, and we're requesting suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This is what we traditionally do, is to advertise this, and it's a matter of procedure that is done yearly for street lighting, street cleaning services, and if a street is not receiving this, they are not being charged for it.
Okay, thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 16, offered by Keith. Resolution declaring it necessary to improve various off-street parking facilities in the Kenmore Business District and the Canton Road Business District by sealing, resurfacing, repairing, painting, parking space stripes, sweeping, snow removal, cleaning sewer openings, providing lawn, turf, shrub, tree maintenance, litter, and other general cleanup, and otherwise improving and maintaining the same, all when and where necessary, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Keith.
The committee would like this to be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 17, offered by Keith, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee without publicly advertising for bids to enter into a contract or contracts with Core and Main LP for the purchase of 4 tapping machines and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Keith.
Madam President, I would like this, and so with the committee, to have this placed on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item 18, offered by Keith, ordinance amending or supplementing Title 5, Chapter 50, Sewers, Section 50.81, discharge criteria for fats, oils, and grease of the codified ordinances of the City of Akron by enhancing the Service Director's authority to protect the city's sewer system and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Keith?
Madam President, we would like this item to be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Okay, item number 19 offered by Keith. Ordinance authorizes Director of Public Service to enter into an agreement and/or legislation with the Ohio Director of Transportation for certain improvements on West Market Street and declare an emergency.
Councilman Keith?
Yes, the committee would like this to be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 20 offered by Keith. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to file application and enter into agreements with the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account for loans to fund certain Water Supply Bureau projects and declare an emergency.
Councilman Keith?
Madam President, we would like this as a committee to be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 21 offered by Mayor Horrigan. Resolution declaring the City of Akron adopts and agrees to participate in the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan developed in conjunction with the County of Summit Emergency Management Agency and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer?
Thank you, President Somerville. Committee's report is placed this item on consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 22 offered by Sims. Ordinance approving the addition of the property located at 21 North Hametown Road in Bath Township to the Bath-Akron-Fairlawn Joint Economic Development District, authorizing the mayor or his designee to amend the Bath-Akron-Fairlawn JET agreement to include the property located at 21 North Hametown Road and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Sims?
Thank you, Madam President. Is the committee's request is for consent agenda?
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda. We will now go to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. If you wish to speak to council during this time, you may approach the podium. We're going to ask that you please sign in, give us your name and your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting. Remarks should be kept respectful and germane to council business. Speakers should refrain from making any personal attacks. Anyone who breaches decorum may be ruled out of order and removed from council chambers.
My name is Sharonda Salmons. I live at 1220 Deloach Street. I looked at the AWR website today before I came here, and under the outreach tab, there's a workforce inclusion page that lists every project that the city of Akron has let out, meaning awarded to every prime contractor and all of the statistics that show if they are meeting the requirements of a 50% Akron residents workforce. It still has not been updated since December of 2017. I also wanted to kind of follow up or clarify my comments from the last time I was here. I had feedback from 3 different people, and only 2 of them were in the room. First, I want to say that I was in no way bashing the contractor that I spoke of the last time. They terminated my contract legally by a small clause that was in their fine print. I did go to the city of Akron, like I stated before, when I found out that it was about to happen, and you guys remember what the remarks was, and I quote, "We don't care who do it," even though the requirement is a local hire diversity compliance manager. I was merely trying to suggest that the city of Akron has required portions in black and white in these contracts that the prime contractors are signing, saying that they're going to adhere to, and they're not. And there's not anything being done about it, to my knowledge. And so the bigger picture that I was trying to make that week was that, in my opinion, or it's a question, is the city of Akron setting a precedence to contractors that if we put this requirement in black and white and say that you have to do it, you meet the requirement and you win the bid, you do the contract, and somewhere along the line you don't do it, and you don't even get a slap on the hand. And that's for local and contractors outside the city. For example, the city of Akron just awarded $68 million to a Cleveland contractor for the WRF BioSet program. And of course, that position was in there, local hire diversity compliance manager. And yes, I applied for it. Came back from vacation, found out who won. Because I'm a student of my business that I've owned for 10 years, I reach out to the contractors and ask them, hey, did you get my bid? Are we gonna work together or not? They told me, I found out, I spoke to the project engineer, and she said, and I quote, we do this in-house, end quote. Now they, in their defense, may hire an Akron person and lay them off, but what I'm talking about is not only for me. That could have been an opportunity for somebody else who bid it, or for another small business. There needs to be
You have about 30 seconds.
Okay, and then, thank you for that. So, question, what is you guys' top-bottom approach for some of the concerns that I've brought to you in the past? And quite frankly, some of the ones that I read in the paper, we got the city of Akron is being sued by one of those said contractors because y'all didn't give them a contract, that y'all been giving them contracts for 30 years. It just needs to be something done, some type of citizen oversight, because we don't know. And if they are meeting the requirements, we wouldn't know because it hasn't been updated since December of 2017.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anyone else here in the audience that would like to speak during our public comment period?
Good evening. My name is Ludy Carmichael. I live at 956 Vernon Odom Boulevard, Ward 3. My concerns are we have drug houses in our ward, we have high grass in our ward, and we have abandoned houses in our ward. There are several people of the community that came together and got together to make a neighborhood watch, and most of them are elderly. And I am the captain, so now they're asking me what's going to be done about this. I know we started on it last year, but we've dropped the ball this year, and now we're reverting back to more drug houses, more high grass, and more vacant homes. And I'd just like to get it taken care of. I mean, we're your eyes, we're your ears, but we can only do so much. So what we need is we need somebody with the hammer that can drop the hammer and keep the hammer dropped, that we can clean up our neighborhood. We own our houses. We're not renting or anything like that. We own our houses. And we refuse to let drug dealers come in, take over the elderly over there in Roulette Circle. I mean, they are crying, they're watching, they're calling me, and they're telling me, well, what are we going to do about this? There's high grass, there's groundhogs and rats and anything that's coming through, eating their flowers and everything else. And these are people that's 80 plus years old that live over in Roulette Court. So I just ask that council or our councilman or whatever the case may be would help us continue to drop the hammer in our neighborhood, that we'll clean our neighborhood up and we're rid of drug dealers, abandoned houses, high grass, and all the other things that come along with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carmichael, I'll be more than happy to meet with you after the meeting.
Good evening, Council. My name is Selmar Perdue, Jr. I live at 1132 Hardesty Boulevard in Akron. I have several complaints, but I don't have enough time to go through them all. But one, I'm being picked on, and I don't mind being picked on because God can't use me unless I be picked on. So I'm going to leave this to give the President, Council. They tell me my grass is too high in my yard, and I can see the ground. I got something to correct and cut my grass. But that's not really what I'm here for. I'm going to ask the city of Akron and the mayor to get to the governor if we have to use National Guards to clean up our streets. I'm tired of waking up in the middle of the night for guns firing. I'm tired. We got police officers. And the 12th Amendment, Second Amendment, doesn't give our troops in the street, the right to walk down the street bold and body with firearms on their hip when we got police officers. I'm a military person. I was in the United States Navy in Vietnam. I come home to this. I get angry at night when I wake up in the middle of the night for gunfire. I want to pick up mine and go down to the person that's doing the firing and ask them 2 questions. Are they ready to die? So I wish that our mayor and the chief of police of this city, every time they hear gunfire, every time they hear about somebody with one, we got to come to a conclusion now. If it's worth 5 years for you to walk down the street with a gun on your hip or in your pocket, I don't care if you do have a permit to carry it. We got police officers. You need to go to the bank, you got money, you need to carry a gun, call an officer. We don't need you walking up and down our streets with guns. We got 5 people this week, over 80 years old, bullet holes in their home. You can't do nothing about it. I cry. But I'm here because God say, I must speak this peace because the will is his. I don't have nothing to do with the will that's going to be performed in our city if you don't. We're just having too many killers with guns in this country for our government to sit on their thumb and rear back and enjoy the liberty because it wasn't me.
Sir, you have about 30 seconds.
Tomorrow might be you. I pray to God it's not. But I'm saying, please take note today and make some kind of adjustment to make sure it don't happen. We're tired of the gunfire. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I want this to go to the president, and what I need them to do is put a policy on my door. The person that sent that out, put a policy in my mailbox and say that you're sorry if you did. If you don't, I'm going to call 8 tomorrow and make sure that my grass don't need cutting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Bonomo. I am here on behalf of Mount Peace Cemetery on Aqueduct Street in Akron. I'm actually here tonight regarding the street project that was started more than a year ago. I've met with that council. Obviously, we're aware of what all's gone on there, but our largest concern right now is the last part of this project, at least on our end, was the Devil Strip that goes along our half-mile run down Aqueduct Street. Without any consultation to us beforehand, they went ahead and the Devil Strip is now quite literally a ditch. They've moved the sidewalk over. The entire fence line of this half mile is all a run that needs weed-eated with a weed whacker every week. The ditch line that we used to be able to use our commercial mowers on, we are unable to do now. So it is sitting as is, as a long grass ditch, that this beautiful project that was supposed to make the street more appealing to the city now looks terrible. We actually have people come in and mow and weed eat the cemetery. Any of you who are familiar with our cemetery know it's very large, it's very difficult to take care of, and we bring in professionals for it. I have asked them how much it would cost for them to take care of this part, where it was included before in our fee of mowing and trimming. Now it's such a daunting task. It will be $180 per cut. We do 28 cuts a year. This is over $5,000 now the city is costing the cemetery for these ditches. I did, in fact, contact the person who's in charge of the committee there, Jason Zajac, who's running the project on that end. He's been very accommodating for most things, but unfortunately this part was housed out to environmental design consultants. She met with me, and she said there's nothing she could do other than she gave me a piece of paper, which I can share with everyone here, that was just long grass that she was going to plant a new kind of grass, not ornamental, wild growing grass that was just meant to be grown long all year. It looks terrible. I have asked her, and she, of course, says that she has no authority for this. I don't know who would have the say on this, for gravel, which is on the other side of Aqueduct. The street is
about
now
30
lined.
seconds, ma'am.
Thank you. The street is now lined with gravel. We've asked for that. She declined. We are asking the city either to gravel all of the ditches alongside that road to help us out with cost and appearance, because we're not going to take care of that, or the city come in and take care of the devil strips that we had no say in.
Jackie, thank you so much for sharing after the meeting. I'm going to ask that you get with Councilman Swirsky.
Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Steve Nome. I live at 1928 6th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. I'm here again about the retirees' insurance benefits. I was unable to attend the council meeting 2 weeks ago because I had another meeting I needed to attend. But in the email I sent you then, I noted that an acquaintance of mine who lived in England for a number of years made these comments about your resolution pending before you about the unification of Ireland. Her first comment, how does the unification of Ireland have anything to do with Akron City Council? Her second comment was, it's a terrible idea. I received another comment from a local journalist. I think it's ridiculous for Akron City Council to be wasting time on the unification of Ireland as if a local vote on that would have one iota of impact. And I suggested in my email that you focus on a local concern where you could actually have a real impact. Restoral of quality health insurance benefits to spouses of City of Akron retirees at an affordable cost. I was surprised, as were other city retirees, when we saw this headline on the May 24th Beacon Journal, looking to be age-friendly. Akron was taking the first step to intentionally tackle the challenges of a rapidly aging population. Since quality health insurance accessible at an affordable cost is vital to making Akron a place where everyone ages in good health and comfort, and the city has had the opportunity to explore restoring the insurance it abruptly took away from the spouses of city retirees in 2018, retirees question how concerned the city is about its older population. The mayor said that choosing to be age-friendly was an easy decision because there was a lot of pressure in the community. And he thinks it's good pressure because these are things we need to do. Now, I've been giving you 3 minutes of good pressure weekly for 1 2/3 years now to do something about this city retirement insurance problem. It's time to address the retiree spouse insurance crisis now. It's time for the city to review its health insurance program as a whole now and determine what is a reasonable cost to both the city and its participants. Forget about Ireland, focus on local concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Nome, for sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak during our public comment period?
Good evening, Jackie Easley. I'm Vice President of Commonwealth Merchants Association, and I have to say thank you to the city for their support and participation in the Better Blocks on the 24th and 25th of May. And I want to thank the police department. Many of you came out to the event. Oh God, this is like such a big list of people, so I kind of wrote it down, but I don't want to sit here and say all that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully Better Block comes back next year and goes on the east side or something, you know. So, and my next question is, I need to know what the city's position is on House Bill 6, for or against. What's the city's position on clean energy and green energy? And I don't know really who to ask that question. So, and a couple other comments. In support of Ward 3. I don't live in Ward 3, but in support of Ward 3, all of you all. I work on Thornton Street. It's deplorable You can't even drive down the street. Right there when you get to Rhodes Avenue to turn the corner to get on the highway, it is deplorable. And also, I support Mr. Sams also. I am MBE Edge in the city, and I will be keeping an eye on what's going on with the procurement in the city. I have been here for some years, and I have seen grown men come in this room and stand here and cry because they can't get a contract. And probably my next comment is that the guns. I'm back to the guns. On Wednesday, no, starting on Tuesday and Wednesday, I literally could hear the gunshots that took place. On Tuesday night, from my residence, I could hear the gunshots. On Wednesday night, I could hear the gunshots. I could hear them load a whole round off. I sat there and counted them as they did them from my residence. I'm scared of bullets. That's what I'm scared of. Not a whole lot more, but I'm scared of bullets. And I did see on the news that you guys have a program for the guns, trying to, get to the rid of them. So I would like to know more about that program, the Dawn or something. So that's my comments, and thank you all so very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Easley. Is there anyone else liking to speak during our public comment period?
Whenever you're ready.
Hi. My name is Tanya King. I live on Ward 3. And I walk up Copley Road all the time. And I've been listening to everybody's comment on crime and everything. And maybe this wouldn't help, but my take on it is beautifying Copley Road. On East Avenue and Copley Road, those lots have been vacant and barren for over 20 years. Next to Kelly, next to Open Pantry, which is called Mr. Pantry now, that area has been looking terrible to me for a while. I know everybody said that our area don't have any money to beautify it, but if we can find money to put flowers, put a park, put something in these areas, maybe a facelift can make people look better, make it look safer. Maybe we can do better in our neighborhood. When we go up West Market, you see you have to put money into that. You see flowers, you see, Yeah, you see, like on Friday, you have people having drumming, you have activities. On this part of Copley Road, there's trash, you're complaining about the area, you're complaining about the drive-through, you're complaining about the way it looked. I'm complaining about, I walk this area. I don't know who else to talk to. Do I talk to y'all? Do I continue to talk and complain to the neighborhood? But but can we just try something else? That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mrs. King. Is there anyone else wishing to speak during our public comment period?
I wasn't sure if you wanted us to come up now or, okay, Michelle Wilson. I'm Executive Director with Global Ties Akron, and I thank you all for welcoming us here this evening. We have a delegation from Ukraine that is with us for the week, if they would please stand. They are here tonight observing how our local government works, and I have to say this has been really a great opportunity for them to see how residents can come and have a voice and express their concerns, and also the understanding that we all face challenges no matter where we are in the world. They're working with people who have been displaced due to the war situation in Ukraine, and we're meeting while we're here with many organizations that are working towards safety and security for individuals in Northeast Ohio that are coming here as refugees, immigrants, and also working on being a welcoming, diverse community, welcome all diversity in our community. So I just want to introduce really quick here, Dimitro, who is their facilitator, and he's going to introduce the individuals very quickly.
Тетяна Дурнєва. Скажи пару слів. Міс Ганна Гуменюк. Можеш підійти? Підійди. Всі, хто не сказав, будь ласка, підійдіть до мікрофону. Міс Ганна Гуменюк.
I'm project manager of peace building projects in Caritas Ukraine. We are trying to resolve our actual conflict now from civil society side.
Містер Павло Лисянський.
Hello, my name is Paulo. I from in eastern Ukraine. I work representative of Commissioner Ukrainian Parliament of Human Rights in Lugansk and Donetsk region.
Міс Ірина Максименко.
Good evening, my name is Irina. I work in International Charity Foundation Caritas Ukraine. I am a project manager and administrator. We work with communities, different communities, church communities or different, and we work with social activizations of communities. Thank you.
Міс Наталія Єсіна.
Hello, my name is Natalia. I'm project manager in Ukrainian Helsinki Human Rights Group in our region in Sumy, North Ukrainian. Thank you.
And again, I just want to say thank you to President Margot Somerville and Mr. Keith and our council members and our representatives from the mayor's office, and especially to our community. It's very important to share mutually how things work around the world and how we work in our own community. And with the many delegations we've had from all over the globe, I find that it's usually mutually beneficial, and we're making connections that we can build upon, such as with Ghana. We're working on a city of Accra, Ghana partnership with Akron, Ohio. So thank you so much, and I'm done.
Michelle, thank you so much. And to our special guests, thank you and welcome to Akron, Ohio. So thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak during our public comment period?
Good evening, council, once again. My name is Harrington Hargrove. I live at 1008 Laurel Avenue, Akron, Ohio, Ward 3, 44307. And I have a complaint in reference to this 10th Street project. For 45 years, they've been having an urban renewal in my community, but yet the black community has received nothing. 45 years of urban renewal in Ward 3. Opportunity Park, not for the black community that lives right across the expressway. We have Martin Luther King Boulevard. We have Vernon Odom Boulevard. We have Martin Luther King Highway. All that circumference in Ward 3, but no economic development, none. My councilwoman, you know that in our community, there has been no development in 40-some years. That's a fact. That's not my story. That's a fact. The GAR report states that, and not just Ward 3, but the African-American community at large in this city. Nothing. 6-7 months, the GAR report come out, and you don't have any viable way to uplift us. So now you tell us we have to wait. You didn't tell the guy from Bounce that he had to wait when y'all gave him a $6 million building. A $6 million building, but right across the street, and that used to be Ward 3. So I'm asking, why can't y'all annex the part of Ward 3 where you did the Bounce? Why don't y'all put us in the downtown development so we can prosper? It seems like that's the only way. You won't bring anything to our community. You won't bring one dime to this community, Ward 3. Not one dime. I mean, it's like you're dead in silence when it comes to the black community, and especially Ward 3. Ward 3. Ward 3. I'm not, as the young folks say, I'm not hating, but Copley Road has been given money 2 or 3 times in the last 40 years. And they still need more, but I'm saying, but in Ward 3, we have Opportunity Park. All that's in Ward 3. 40-some years of development. The House of La Rose got plenty from the city. That was in Ward 3. But when it comes to the black community, nothing. This council should be ashamed of themselves, really. You can't call no names, but you should collectively should be ashamed of yourself when it comes to economic development in the entire city. All-American city, not in Ward 3. Ward 3, I'm just asking you to take a better look at it. 10 streets, but even in 10 streets, you never include not one street in Ward 3. Not one. Vernon Odom Drive, Boulevard, nothing in Ward 3.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak during our public comment period? Seeing and hearing none, we're going to close our public comment period. Before we move into our committee assignments, we do have Mr. Tim Lewis, who has been patiently waiting. Thank you so much. As many of you have probably noticed, maybe for the past month, out in the lobby, we have had a heart monitoring machine, I do believe. So I think Mr. Lewis is going to tell us a little bit about that.
A blood pressure kiosk, a blood pressure monitoring. So thank you very much, Council. I'm very happy to be here, honored to be here. Thank you for your time. My name is Tim Lewis. I work for the American Heart Association as a Director of Community Impact, and I'm joined this evening by Dr. Justin Dunn, who is, yes, everyone a round of applause, he's an interventional cardiologist here in Akron with Summa Health Cardiovascular Institute. He is also the president-elect of the local American Heart Association, American Stroke Association board. And like all nonprofits, we all have mission statements, and the mission statement of the American Heart Association is to be a relentless force for a world of longer, healthier lives. And so our local board really tried to make an effort to really discuss in a meaningful way what does that look like in this community, and really try to identify some top priorities. And the Heart Association, we have a lot of events that go on in the community. We have, of course, the Heart Walk, the Heart Ball, Go Red for Women. and those are all events, they're fundraising events, that participation, and that money funds research that helps treat heart disease. But another thing we really wanted to make an emphasis on, led by Dr. Dunn, is that we've been learning about heart disease and stroke, and learning that, you know, one of the best things you can do to treat heart disease is to do everything you can to prevent it from happening in the first place. So really, we identified two local priorities that we wanted to emphasize. Those two local priorities were tobacco cessation and tobacco prevention, and also blood pressure control. And those are the two causes that are most preventable. Those are two most preventable causes of heart disease and stroke. So Dr. Dunn came up, helped us to develop a community program about blood pressure, and really our goal was to, I've seen several council members throughout the community. We partnered with as many community members as possible. We partnered with barbershops and beauty parlors. I see Miss Jackie over here. She participated in her beauty parlor at a Cosmetique West. Community groups, churches, public events to offer blood pressure screenings. And we've had great results. Really, our primary emphasis was during the month of April, which is Minority Health Month, and we are part of a lot of community events. But this evening, another purpose as to why I'm here is that also participating in this check change control program was the city of Akron, which is led by the wellness coordinator, Mr. Matt Carson. And Matt really did just to offer a really outstanding job offering these blood pressures, these free blood pressure screenings throughout the community to city employees in multiple different sites. I hope everyone has had the opportunity to use this kiosk out here. Matt can tell you that we had over 800 readings that have been done so far on this blood pressure kiosk. He also offered the blood pressure screenings on 8 to 9 different community sites. So I'm going to let Dr. Dunn speak for a minute, but I also wanted to present Matt with a certificate of appreciation that says, presented to Matt Carson in recognition of your commitment to building a culture of health and wellness in the city of Akron by providing self-monitoring blood pressure screenings and life-saving education to city employees and community members. So I'm going to let Dr. Dunn and Matt have anything to say, and if any council members have any questions about the results of this program, the results of the program throughout the community, or specifically with the city of Akron, please ask.
Thanks, Tim, and thank you all for having us here. Again, my name is Justin Dunn. I'm one of the cardiologists here in the city at Summa Health. And, you know, as a cardiologist, I see on a day-to-day basis patients that come in my office, patients I see in the hospital, and I have the opportunity to meet them one-on-one when they have a heart problem or a medical problem. I think the thing I love about the American Heart Association is that, you know, the American Heart Association pushes forward public health measures, and the measures that really save lives and really improve the health of our community are measures that are put forward by organizations like the American Heart Association. And so I applaud the leadership of the AHA in programs like this that Mr. Carson are involved in to improve blood pressure screening in our community, to improve and decrease tobacco access to citizens, especially young citizens of our community. And I applaud the City Council for their support and their leadership on many of these efforts, because if the health of your community is not strong, then your community will not be strong. And I would also like to speak to the citizens of the community. It's really the citizens, I would applaud the citizens here who participate in these programs and who take control of their health and understand their health, because understanding your health and controlling your health really gives empowerment to the community and to the citizens. So I encourage you all to take control of your health and understand your health. And through programs like the Check Change Control Program, understanding your blood pressure, understanding the risks of tobacco use, it's programs such as these that help us understand how to make our community better. So thank you to Tim for his leadership on this, and thank you to the council for having us here tonight.
And I'd like to thank the Heart Association. Tim, it's been very easy to partner with Tim and Dr. Dunn. They're very helpful, provided us with a bunch of heart rate monitors, the self-monitors, and we were able to do over 1,600 blood pressures altogether so far. So we're going to keep at it. Tim's going to let us use some monitors as we go on. And I'd like to thank my Director of Human Resources, where I'm based out of, Mr. Rice, and my supervisor, Wendy Weaver, here, for supporting good programs and supporting the health of the workers. And, you know, if we don't have healthy workers, then we can't serve our communities. So we need to keep our workers healthy as well as our community healthy. So thank you. And city council members, we do
do events for you too. You can participate. This week's CPR week, and we're doing a not check change control. We're doing CPR updates with hands-only CPR, Stop the Bleed, which is useful these days, and prevention of choking. So make sure you sign up for one of the classes. Thank you.
Thank you again for having us. And our numbers, we're still kind of, from our blood pressure initiative, we're still kind of collecting our data and organizing our data. Dr. Dunn really just wanted to kind of help do a prevalence study if people can help know the numbers. And we found we assured everyone who participated that we wouldn't have to reveal any personal data or anything, that all data collected would be anonymous, but we were finding very high prevalence of high blood pressure. But we really want this program to be the start of a conversation, to help people know their numbers, because when you know your numbers, if you check your numbers, you can make changes with the goal of being healthier. So that's the whole point of this program. I want to thank the council for your support, and I hope that we can continue future efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any question?
Councilwoman Mobian?
I don't know if I have a question, but I certainly would like to thank you. As the Health and Social Services Chair, Dr. Dunn came and testified before this body and encouraged us to adopt T21. And I don't know if you've been following, but we've been quite successful in this county in getting other communities to do the same. Unfortunately, we don't have a total community of Summit County that's T21 approved, but most of the cities and villages have adopted it. So thank you very much for your leadership on that, because it certainly is a big help. And thank you.
I will say that I cover most of the state of Ohio for my responsibilities, and more tobacco to 21 policies have been passed in Summit County than any other county in the state of Ohio. And that's the first council to pass it was the Akron City Council this past year in the spring.
Yes, so thank you again to the Heart Association and to Dr. Dunn. We're now going to move into our committee assignments, rules. Councilman Keith. Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman. Planning, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilman Keith. Public Utilities, Councilman Samples. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer. Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal. Housing, Councilman Kilby. Health and Social Services, Councilman Amobian. Economic Development, Councilman Sims. Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky. Is there anything else coming before council? Councilwoman Sims?
Thank you, Madam President. You know, as we continue to be heartbroken with gun violence across this nation, I just wanted to remind everyone that June 7th is Gun Violence Awareness Day. Over the Memorial Weekend, we had an opportunity to be a part of a ceremony in Ward 3 at Princeton and Kenyon Memorial Park there, just to be a place for the community to come and to feel a sense of remembrance for losses in that part of our city in particular, but for the city as a whole. On the 7th, Moms Who Demand Action will be working with Growing Minds, the brainchild of Sequoia Finney, a young lady who lives in the south side of Akron, and her grandmother, Shirley Finney, in the creation of the park. And so they invite you to come out and work with the community and a number of other organizations to plant flowers at that location. Again, that's located at the corner of Kenyon and Princeton, just off of Thornton Street. And they will then, at around 2 o'clock, gather at the Reach Center for a community picnic. So I just wanted to let the community know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to let those who came down to speak to us today know that your concerns aren't falling on dead ears. Unfortunately, it takes we're a council. One council member, 2 council members can't do anything. It takes us as a collective. I'm hoping that before we go on recess, we can address your issues. But I want us to understand this. We just had folks come down here and talk about, high blood pressure. This past week, just lost an extended family member to a stroke. I want us to understand that stress is a leading indicator that leads to, high blood pressure. When people lived in areas where there's high gun violence, lack of economic opportunity, distressed areas, that leads to health inequities. And we use that term a lot down here. It showed up in our grant program for the, the Beyond the Table. We have to have, I know it's uncomfortable, and I know it's uncomfortable because we still haven't had a conversation about it. As a city, we don't have an equity policy. When we talk about equity, as has been brought, that means that you don't equally put X number of dollars in each ward. Where you have an area of sincere distress, you invest even more dollars. As we've heard from the people who have shared about, Ward 3. But as a council and as an administration, we have a way to create economic opportunity for folks without even having to go out and find grants. Just by changing the way we contract. Many of us have been lobbying for years for council members to be able to have control with local contractors just to take care of the high grass in our neighborhoods. That money to a major contractor doesn't mean that much, but if we can give that to someone in our communities, that can make the world of difference and just might keep that person from acting to violence to address something. We need to change the way we're doing business. You've heard me mention, I'm going to say this now, the fire hydrant issue. I'd like an update. We're spending close to $1 million to paint fire hydrants. The last administration promised to create a citizens component to paint fire hydrants. To them, they said, I'll paint a fire hydrant for $15. You don't got to pay me $80 a fire hydrant. As a council, we have to change the way we're doing business because we're limiting and excluding people from economic opportunity. So, we have to, before we pass this on how we're going to use community block grant dollars, and those dollars come into our community specifically because of the population that we have to have this conversation. And then lastly, if any of you saw the article that said Akron's growth rate, basically we're stagnant. And if you take away the immigrant population, our city population is declining. And when you look at our policies, this community block grant dollars, a lot of it dealt with housing. The population that is moving to our community is not going to buy a $250,000 home. We have to have a city plan to rehab homes, not leaving it to chance to, thank God for those CDCs that we have in our community, but they operate based on what their plan is. We need a strategic plan as council and administration to improve the housing stock in our community. And we have to have one that is including those people who are left out. And if you've read the article, one of them, and a proposal has been brought in there before, across the nation they're having this conversation about now millennials and then students with college debt and how they are not able to purchase homes. Most of our community block grant dollars deals with housing. We don't have anything in that area to attract folks. Something interesting in Tulsa, Oklahoma, what they're doing is they're actually, because most people work remotely, they're offering people $10,000 just to move to their city because they can work anywhere. We have to look at some creative ways to grow our community. But when we make our housing available to people who...
Mr. Neal, your time's up.
Yes, sir. If I may, Madam Chair, just this. We have people come down here every day, every Monday to speak to us. We need to have a plan to address those issues because us even if we don't have an answer, us not addressing them is spilling out in what we're seeing on our streets.
Thank you, Councilman Neal. Councilwoman Samples?
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, I'm sure most of my colleagues know this, but a reminder to them as well as the community of our Akron Parks Week, which starts this Saturday. Parks, I'm not going to just name my parks, I'll name the rest of them too. So on Saturday from 10 to noon, we have Lisa Ann Park, Goodyear Heights Public Square, Waters Parks, Lawson Park, is it Hereford Park? Joy Park and Hines Hillcrest Park is where the week starts. I think we all got some of these in our mailbox to hand out, but even if it's not my ward, I'd like to come and help at the other parks as well, because even the parks that didn't win Parks Challenge this year, I think that if we have enough manpower and hands-on, we can update these parks. So again, starting this Saturday from 10 to noon is Parks Week, and I have a whole bunch of these. I think we all have some, but if we could pass these out, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Samples. Anything else coming before council?
Motion adjourned.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Marlo Somerville, President of Council, presides.